Hey friends, this is Karen from Blue Rooster Farm, and today I am going to be sharing with you how I juice my beautiful sour cherries from our sour cherry tree to make some wonderful healthy juice. This is my steam juicer. This is what I'm going to be using, and I hope you stick around so that you can find out how we do this. See you soon. So this handy little setup right here is my steam juicer. And how it works is you have 3 tiers. The bottom tier, you put your water in, and that is what is going to steam the fruit. And so this little part right here is just going to be full of water. The second compartment is your juice tray. And this is where the juice is going to be collected. And you can see there's a hole right here on this funnel, and this is where the steam comes up and it helps to steam the fruit, which is going to be above this level. You'll also notice there's a silicone tube coming out of this with a clamp at the end, and this is where the juice will be poured into your jar from your juice collector right here. And the top tier is a colander. It's got holes all around, and it is where you're going to store your fruit. So what I'm going to do, and then of course your lid, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the top layer right here with my fruit, and I am going to fill the bottom layer with water. I'm going to turn it on. I will put this silicone tube, just hook it over here so that it doesn't get in any way of anything. And I will start boiling this and letting this water come to a boil and start steaming. And as it does, that steam is going to rise. It is going to plump those berries that are up here at the top, and it's going to make them release their juice into the juice collecting pan in the middle. And when that becomes full enough, we'll start releasing the juice into jars or bowls or pitchers, whatever you're putting it in. I'm going to fill this bottom layer with water and get it on the stove on a high heat. I'll bring you back when it's boiling. Because I've already gotten so much cherry juice canned this season, this batch we are going to turn into a cherry limeade concentrate. And so while my cherries are coming up to a boil in my steam juicer over there, and before I show you what's going on over there, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to juice all of these limes, and I think I'm going to zest them too, because I might use the zest for flavoring as well, depending on how much juice I get from these. But I will bring you back after I get the juice and show you what we've got. Now, there are a couple of different ways to zest a citrus fruit. You need to clean the outside of your fruit really well, and you can use just your small grater that can be for zesting. And all you do is take your lime or your lemon, whatever you're zesting, and just go back and forth. And you only want to get the green part. You don't want the white. That's called the pith, and it is bitter. So when you do this, you only want to get the green outside portion of the peel. So show you there. We've got just a little pile started of the zest. And that works fine, especially if you only need a small amount. The other thing you can do is you can take a potato peeler and you can peel just the top coating of the lime. The thing that you have problems with on this is that it's pretty easy to get the pith on that peeling because you can only go so far down. And if you go very far down, you can get the pith. And right there you can see there's quite a bit of white on that. And so it might be getting bitter with that one. So my favorite tool is this little, I believe it's a cocktail zester. It's a little tool that has these little circles, just like that. And they're kind of a sharp edge on it. So when you run that across your citrus peel, you get these long, curly pieces of zest. I like this the best. It seems to get the most zest quickly, and it doesn't get down in the pith. So let me just bring up. And there it is. Looks really good. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and zest all of these and then squeeze them and see how much juice I have, and then I'll bring you back. It has been steaming for probably 30 minutes now. So I was going to take the lid off and let you take a peek at to what it looks like inside, and then we're going to try and see if there's any juice ready to come out of the middle section. So let's open this up. Watch out for steam. Okay, and there is, let me turn this light off here. There's the berries. And they're getting hot and losing their juice. You can tell they're lightening in color. Also, they had been a deep red. They're starting to lighten up a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to let that continue to steam. And then we're going to take a look right here. Okay, so what I use is like a little bench here that comes up so that I can reach this tube to this bowl. And it looks like there's some juice starting to form in the tube, so there's probably a little bit. It has to get to a certain level in this juice container, this juice section here, to start flowing. So we are going to pinch this and see what comes out. Oh, there's quite a bit of juice in there. So it's starting to form. Smells really good. And not all the juice will be able to come out like this. We'll have to tilt the pan at the very end to get it all to come out. But we want to keep it from getting to that cone that was in the middle of this pan, because if it gets to the top of that cone, then it'll start going back into the water at the bottom here, and we don't want that. So we will just put this back up here and let that continue, and we're getting a nice bit of juice. So while that is steaming, I imagine we've probably got 35-40 minutes left to finish steaming. I'm going to move you around over here just for a second. All right, so what we have here is some of our concentrate. I ended up adding a little bit of the zest to it, and we'll take that out. We'll strain that out in the end. So this is about one and a half cups or so. And I'm going to just take a tiny bit of water to rinse that out because we don't want to lose any of that good juice. And I'll even mix it this one here. Clean that cup out. There we go. And to this, we're going to start off by adding about 1.5 cups of sugar. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this and just bring it to a boil, just barely bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to strain it. That way we'll get all those little particles out, the pulp, the zest, and any seeds that have fallen in, because if you leave the pulp and the zest in, it might turn bitter after it's been canned, just sitting in the jars. So I will bring this to a boil, then I'll bring it back. I let this mixture come to a boil, and then I turned it off, and it's been steeping for probably 30 minutes, and it looks like the cherry juice is just about done, and I will be taking the last of it out of the juice portion of our juicer. So what I want to do with this now is, because I don't want to leave the zest and the pulp in the jars when I can them, I want to strain it. And all I've got here is a measuring cup, a metal strainer, and a thin piece of cheesecloth right here. And I'm just going to pour this into that. Get all of that out. A little squeeze. Okay. And now we have some clear sweetened lime juice, and we're going to add our cherry juice to this in just a minute. I'm going to swing you around and I'm going to let you see how much the cherries have cooked down, and we're going to see how much juice we got. And I've got about 7 cups in there right now. Here is what our berries look like. This off real carefully. Lots of steam. And if you can see in there, you can see that the juice is just about completely gone. We've just got some pulp and some seed. And I can take this spoon, any berries that I think might still have a little juice, I can kind of pop them, but I think a lot of them are just kind of hollow. They're just swollen up from the steam. So, whoops, I'm sorry. So I think I'm going to empty out the rest of the juice out of the middle container, and we'll see how much we have. I'm going to turn the heat off and let loose of the clamp. It's a little hot. And then I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to pour this juice into our lime mixture, and then I'll come back and add the rest. I think it will overflow if we don't. And you can see the juice that's in the reservoir right there. We're going to tilt it, and we're going to get the rest of that into our little cup down here and see how much we got in total. And I just have to tilt it. every bit of it is out. We've got about 12 cups of juice and then a couple of cups of lime juice. So let's bring you back over here. Here's the first juice that I added to the limeade, and I'm going to give it a little taste and see what that tastes like. That's good. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of this. Now there is some pulp because I stirred the cherries. There's some pulp in there, but that's okay. I don't mind it in the juice. And then I'm going to add some more sugar. I'm going to add, because we've got quite a bit of extra juice in here now, I think I'm going to add a cup, and then I'm going to taste it. Now this is a concentrate. That means that you're going to have to dilute it once you open it, and we like to dilute it with a carbonated beverage like 7-Up, Sprite, ginger ale. You could do club soda, any of those, Squirt. So that's a cup. Let me taste it. But it's a concentrate, so it's going to have to be diluted with something. And so it's going to be strong, and so you'll want it to be sweet enough so that when you dilute it, you don't lose the flavor. Now you can always can this without adding sugar, and then add your sugar afterwards after you open it. But we like to go ahead on these and add the sugar, because that way it's really easy just to pour into your beverage. So let me rinse my spoon off and I'm going to taste it again. And remember, these are sour cherries, so they do need sugar to sweeten them up. That's good. I'm going to add another cup, or not, maybe 3/4 of a cup. So we added 1 3/4 of a cup once we had our juice in there. Remember, we added a cup when we added the lime, but when you have 2 of those very tart fruits, you need the sugar, and when you go and dilute this with another beverage, it will taste just right. So now what I'm going to do, it's almost to the temperature because this was very hot. I'm going to stick it on the stove, and this needs to come up to 190 degrees. Once it's at 190 degrees, we are ready to put it in jars and can it. So I'm going to get it to 190 degrees, and then I'll bring you back and we'll put it in jars. I have taken our juice off the heat. It came to 190 degrees, and now we're ready to ladle it into our jars. We need to ladle it within 1/4 inch of the top rim of our jar. And so we will just put it in. Now we are going to be water bath canning, which I will use my steam canner. They will be timed the same way. We will be processing these jars for 10 minutes once they reach, the water bath reaches boiling, or the steam canner reaches the appropriate temperature for your elevation. And so they'll be processed for 10 minutes. I am leaving 1/4 inch space between the rim and the juice. Sometimes I leave just a little bit more just to avoid siphoning. We're going to see how many jars we get. It's really pretty, and it really smells good too. We've got a cherry lime flavor going on in the kitchen today. I have my steam processor or steam canner already heating. Remember, this is going to be hot jars, so we need a hot water bath or a hot steam canner going. They'll get up to the right temperature quickly, and then that 10 minutes will be pretty quick. I'm kind of hoping I don't have a full jar at the end. That way we can sample some. Now you can do this same recipe with lemons and make cherry lemonade concentrate. That would be really good. We do that with strawberries, strawberry lemonade concentrate. Oh, I was hoping we wouldn't have that full, but that's okay. I still got just a little bit in here. All right, we will have a little to sample. Enough for about 1 glass. All right, so now we need to clean our rims. And so I've got a little vinegar here. This will cut the sugar and the juice if it's on the rim. Also, we're feeling to see if there's any nicks on the rims as we are cleaning them. If there's a nick, remove that jar and repurpose it for something else. It will not be a canning jar anymore because it won't seal. Sometimes those nicks can be really, really small and you can barely fill them. And the jar's still good for maybe dry storage, maybe putting herbs or something in, but it's just not one that's going to seal. Okay, I think this one's a little bit full, so I'm going to get a spoon. Look good. So this time I had a couple wide mouth jars that I'm using. So I've got, looks like 5 small mouth and 2 wide mouth. I'm gonna need another wide mouth lid and band. So I'll get that in just a minute. So we're putting our bands on, fingertip tight. That means we're not wrenching down on them, we're just tightening with the tips of our fingers, and that's hot. And you want to make sure that the bands are not cross-threaded. They have to make contact with the lid around the tops of the jars. So we've got all of those covered, and I'll need to get another lid and a band for that one, and I'll do that as soon as I put these in. It looks like I'm steaming over at my steamer. I'll turn you around and I'll show you what we're doing. This is our steam canner. I'm going to take the lid off. It is boiling hot. We have water at the bottom, a tray right there that the jars will sit on. I believe 9 jars will fit. 9 pint-sized jars will fit on this. I'm going to get my band and my lid for the other one, and I'll put it right there. Then we'll close it. Then we will use this gauge, and when it reaches the correct temperature, we'll start our 10-minute timing. So I am going to let this go for 10 minutes. After it reaches the temperature, turn it off, set the timer for 10 minutes, and then remove them from the canner. You do the same thing with a water canner. Just put your jars in. Once it comes to a boil, start timing your 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes passes, turn your fire off, your element off. Set your timer for 10 minutes to have it rest. Then open up your canner and take your jars out. Then they'll need to set for 12 to 24 hours until they are nicely sealed. And then you can clean up your jars, take the bands off, write the date and whatever's inside the jar, and you can put them in your pantry. Okay, here's the taste test. I'm just using a lemon lime soda. My leftover concentrate. I have the zest that I had left over, and I'm just going to dry that. But I'm just going to sprinkle a little zest in there. If it were daylight, I would go ahead and get a mint leaf off of my plant and stick it in there. Let's try it. Where's the pool? This is so good. I'm speechless. Cherry limeade concentrate. Your family's gonna love it. Delicious.
If you enjoyed watching this video, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me immensely, and it helps to push my videos out for others to find. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a great week.